6:45. This is Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news is edited by Yoga and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Heavy rains create havoc in many parts of the island. Many people from the western province affected due to the inclement weather condition. 3 deaths reported so far. The MBRO issues level 3 red landslide warnings to 3 districts. 336 millimeters of highest rainfall received at Aglavata area during the last 24 hours. Sri Lanka reports 1,306 more coronavirus recoveries today. Vaccination drive to be extended to 3 more districts. COVID-19 Information Center set up to obtain details on infected inmates. And in news overseas, Israel intensifies attacks in Gaza as conflicts enters the 5th day. And in sports news, new ODI captain Kusal Pereira wants young Sri Lanka to play fearlessly against Bangladesh. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the local news. Heavy rain created havoc in many parts of the island. Many areas of the country are receiving heavy rains due to the prevailing inclement weather condition. The Disaster Management Center said certain low-lying areas have submerged as a result. The Irrigation Department said that a minor flood situation could occur from Hangwalla to Nalagam Street in Colombo. Colombo District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratne said measures are in place if there is a flood threat in the Colombo district. 10 Navy teams have been deployed for relief work if there would be a disaster condition. The Army will also join the relief work. Earth mounds have collapsed on the main road to enter Muskelia town through Ginigathena, Diagala and Norton Bridge. Meanwhile, 13 people who have been trapped due to the overflowing of Kuda Oya at Mayin Oliver in Ruanvalla have been rescued. 1 person has drowned in Gingaga. The water levels of Kalani, Kalu, Ging, Nilwala, Mahavali rivers, Maha Oya and Attanagala Oya are rising. Paddy fields in several areas have submerged. Floods have occurred in Mathara, Akurasa, Valigama and Valipitia areas. People in certain areas are facing drinking water problems due to the pollution of water in the wells. Mathara District Secretary Pradeep Ratnayaka said that all measures are in place to face any disaster situation. Ratnapura District Secretary Malini Lokapothagama said that steps have been taken to inform the people in Ratnapura. 3 sluice gates of the Udavalava Reservoir have been opened. Amblipiti Mahavali Authority engineer Sujiva Gunasekara requested the people living in the sides of the reservoir to be vigilant. Director of the Met Department said that the low pressure could develop into a cyclone which will not have a major impact on the country. Meanwhile, the Disaster Management Center says that all necessary resources, including human resources, medical supplies and other infrastructure facilities to face any emergency situation is available. The Met Department says 336 millimeters of highest rainfall was received at Aglavata area during the last 24 hours ending at 8:30 a.m. this morning. Podivela area received 332 millimeters of rainfall. Hatton received 380 millimeters, while Hinduma received 207 millimeters of rainfall. The Sri Lanka Navy has engaged 3 naval groups to help the Disaster Management Center to provide relief assistance to the affected people. So far, 13 naval teams are engaged in Gabha, Kalutara, Gaul and Mathara districts. The public could dial the hotline 117 to obtain the latest update on the disaster situation due to the inclement weather condition. 11,500 individuals from 2,750 families from the western, northwestern and southern provinces have been affected due to the present adverse weather condition, out of which more people are affected in the western province. 3 deaths have been reported so far. The National Building Research Organization has issued a level 3 red landslide warning for Gaul, Kalutara and Mathara districts. The red alert has been issued to Palindanuara, Aglavata, Valalavita, Matugama, Dodangoda, Ingiriya and Bulat Sinhala in the Kalutara district. It is effective for Niyagama, Neluwa, Alpitia, Baddegama, Tavalama and Yakalamulla in the Gaul district and Pitabaddara in the Mathara district. Since the rainfall within the past 24 hours has exceeded 150 millimeters, people living in the aforementioned areas have been urged to evacuate to safe locations. A level 2 amber warning is possible of landslides was issued for Sidavaka in the Colombo district, Nagoda in the Gaul district, Horana in the Kalutara district, Varakapula and the Hiovita in the Kagala district and Ahaliyagoda in the Ratnapura district. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
And we continue with more local news. Vegetable stocks have been piled up at Dambulla Economic Centre following the travel restrictions. Nearly 700,000 kilograms of vegetables brought from various areas are piled up at the centre. Therefore, the government has decided to purchase all vegetable stocks at the centre. Treasury Secretary S.R. Artigal has said that the authority is vested with the relevant district secretaries to purchase the piled up vegetables and fruits at the Dambulla and Tambute Gamut economic centres. Treasury Secretary further said necessary funds have been allocated for this purpose. The government will sell all these stocks to Sri Lanka Army and private sales outlets during the next few days. Meanwhile, a provincial respondent says that there is more than 600,000 kilograms of vegetables and fruits varieties lying in the Ahaliyagoda market. The wholesale traders were not permitted due to a communication problem between the relevant stakeholders. However, it is expected that the situation will be brought under control within the next few days. As many as 1,306 more patients who were being treated for COVID-19 have been discharged from the medical care within the last 24 hours, the Ministry of Health reported today. This brings the total number of coronavirus recoveries in the country to 110,108. Majority of the recoveries were reported from the Punane Treatment Centre, Dambatani Treatment Centre and Giriula Treatment Centre. The Sri Lanka has reported 135,796 positive cases of COVID-19 following the outbreak of the virus infection. However, up to 24,796 virus-infected patients are currently receiving treatment at designated hospitals and treatment centres. Sri Lanka's pandemic death toll, meanwhile, stands at 892. The vaccination drive, which is currently underway in the Western Province, could be extended to 3 other districts such as Kandy, Kurunegala and Ratnapura. Health Minister Pavitra Vannayarachchi said today. She told the media that they had so far vaccinated over 1.1 million people and expect to vaccinate about 13 million people. The vaccination drive will be rolled out to the 3 districts once it is completed in the Western Province, the minister added. The Health Ministry said that the vaccines would be given to people above 30 years of age. The number of people over the age of 60 is estimated at 2.3 million, while there are 5.3 million people between the ages of 40 to 50. The number of people between the ages 30 to 40 is estimated around 3.3 million, she added. An information centre has been established in the prison's headquarters for the relatives to obtain details on the inmates who have been infected with COVID-19, the prisons department said. Prison spokesman Chandana Ekanayake said details could be obtained via the telephone number 0114 677 101. The number once again 0114 677 101. Accordingly, the details such as treatment centres where the inmate is being treated, date of admission and the date of conducting PCR or antigen tests could be obtained, the spokesman said. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Heavy rain creates havoc in many parts of the island. Many people from the Western Province affected due to the inclement weather condition. 3 deaths reported so far. NBRO issues level 3 red landslide warning to 3 districts. 336 millimeters of highest rainfall received at Aglavata area during the last 24 hours. Sri Lanka reports 1,306 more coronavirus recoveries today. Vaccination drive to be extended to 3 more districts. COVID-19 Information Centre set up to obtain details on infected inmates. And that was the local news.
Your sister got him the most valuable gift of all.
My family will do anything for our child's future.
People's Bank Isuru Udana gift certificates, a valuable gift for any child.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vedha Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The main news story for tonight: vegetable stocks have piled up at Dambulla Economic Centre following the travel restrictions. Nearly 700,000 kilograms of vegetables brought from various areas have piled up at the centre. Therefore, the government has decided to purchase all vegetable stocks at the centre. Treasury Secretary S.R. Artigal has said that the authority is vested with the relevant district secretaries to purchase the piled up vegetables and fruits at the Dambulla and Tambutekama economic centres. Treasury Secretary further said necessary funds have been allocated for this purpose. The government will sell these stocks to Sri Lanka Army and private sales outlets during the next few days. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Oslo tonight, the residents in many city limits complain about the non-collection of garbage on time. As a result, the garbage gets piled up and sometimes is scattered all over the place. This has caused immense difficulties to the local residents and motorists. This is for the attention of the municipal councils and urban council authorities. From that, we move on to the headlines of the world news. Israel intensifies attacks in Gaza as conflicts enter the 5th day. Indian variant second jabs could be brought forward to tackle the rise in numbers. Myanmar to release arrested Japanese journalist. Those were the headlines, and now more to the details of the world news. Israel has intensified its assault on Gaza as Palestinian militants continue to fire rockets into Israel on the 5th day of hostilities. Israel's military said air and ground forces were involved in the attacks on Friday but had not entered Gaza. Video from Gaza City showed the night sky lit up by explosions from Israeli artillery, gunboats and airstrikes. Some 119 people have been killed in Gaza and 8 have died in Israel since fight began on Monday. Second vaccine doses can be brought forward and local restrictions introduced to help tackle the Indian variant in the worst affected areas, the UK government has said. Minister Nadim Zawahi said steps have also been included in vaccinating younger people in multi-generational households. Meanwhile, a top scientist has warned lifting restrictions on the 21st of June is in doubt because of the Indian variant. Cases in the UK have more than doubled to 1,313, Public Health England said. A Japanese journalist who was arrested in Myanmar last month and later charged with spreading fake news will be released, state media said yesterday. Yuki Katasumi was the first foreign journalist known to be charged since the military took over power in February. Myanmar authorities maintain he violated the law but will be released because Japan has requested it. Almost 800 people have been killed and thousands detained, including many local journalists since the coup. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Israel intensifies attacks in Gaza as conflict enters the 5th day. Indian variant second jabs could be brought forward to tackle the rise in numbers. Myanmar to release arrested Japanese journalist. That was the world news, and now we move on to development news. Selingo Life recently donated high-flow nasal cannula equipment to the Colombo South Teaching Hospital at Kalubowila, responding to an urgent need to enhance the non-invasive ventilator facilities for patients with severe respiratory failure. The HFNC equipment donated by the company will be used at the 4-bed surgical high-dependency unit previously donated by Selingo Life to Ward 24 of the hospital. The high-flow nasal cannula is used by the medical teams to bridge patients being weaned from invasive ventilation. That was the development news. Sports news coming up.
Sports news is brought to you by...
When Aya bought a motorbike, he bought 2 helmets. So sweet of him. I'm sure the other one is for me.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Moving on to sports news, Sri Lanka's newly appointed ODI captain Kusal Janith Pereira wants Sri Lankans to play fearlessly against Bangladesh. Pereira has been appointed leader of the young squad, which is without several big names including Angelo Matthews, and now has the opportunity to turn around Sri Lanka's poor form in the format, the side having slipped to the 9th on the ICC rankings. Pereira has long been one of the most aggressive batsmen in Sri Lanka's ranks, and early indications are that he would like the team to embrace that ethos. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
My wife always sets a full lunch table, even if it's just the two of us. She always expects people to drop by, like maybe the army.
In whatever we do, we Sri Lankans are always thinking of others. When we get Munchie's Super Cream Crackers, they're not just for ourselves. Munchie's Super Cream Cracker. Super kiyanne nikan neve.
Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
In business news, Sri Lanka Telecom PLC Group released its financial results for the first quarter of the year 2021 with a remarkable 14.3% year-on-year growth in profit after tax to 2.1 billion rupees. The group revenue went up to 24.7 billion rupees for the period with a 11.4% year-on-year growth, strongly underpinned by the growth in revenues of FTTH, 4G LTE, mobile broadband services, pure TV services and carrier domestic services. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of ₹1,000 from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give